Hello, my name is Joost Bosdijk and I play the bassoon in the London Symphony Orchestra. I'm going to help you with some tips and suggestions about the extracts you might want to play for your YouTube Symphony audition. One of the first things I would like to talk about is the Mozart Marriage of Figaro. It's a very important piece in the repertoire for any bassoon player. You will be always asked to play this in any audition you play, together with the Mozart Bassoon Concerto. Now, the Mozart overture is quite a tricky one. On the modern bassoon, it's a lot harder than for the instrument it was actually written for, the classical bassoon. The difficulty is that you really have to blend with all the string players. It's a quite mysterious beginning, and it's immediately into a run of very quick notes. And it starts on quite an awkward note. I will suggest that you first practice it and don't take too much notice of the dynamic, so you feel comfortable with the technique. Also practice in very small chunks. So for example, if you just start off with only the first two notes, so you just build it gradually up until you feel quite comfortable with the technique. Also practice it very slowly. And the last thing, you really want to practice it in different rhythms. So, for example, or for this specific Mozart excerpt, I would suggest that you put the lock on your piano key down, so you don't have to move too much with your thumb, so you can just gently move it up and down rather than rolling around on the bassoon. Now, if you feel more and more comfortable and you practice with metronome, you can also start thinking about the phrasing, so you don't play too much ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, but really go ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. So there's always a direction in the music, and actually it will help you to get to an easier way of playing. I will try to play the excerpt now as a whole. It's just the opening bars of the overture. Always have the music you have to play in mind actually before you start playing. Music doesn't just come from thin air. It's already started before you play. It will really, really help you to get the right atmosphere and therefore more ease of playing the piece. So this far for the Mozart overture. We will now move on to the Scheherazade. The Scheherazade is a fascinating story of a woman who has to keep the attention of her lover for a very long time because he's about to kill her if she would bore him. So in the solo, in the second movement of the Scheherazade, just after one of the violin cadenzas, you can think of this theme of really captivating your listener's attention. And the description of the solo is dolce, espressivo, capriccioso, quasi recitando, which is a long text, and you want to do justice to all these things. So it has to have a gentle feel, but also quite quirky in the same time, which is quite difficult to combine these two things. And it's recitando, so you want to tell the story with this solo. You really want to sit down for a while and look at all the different things that are written in this part, like the accents and the dots and the slurs, and try to do justice to all of these. It takes a lot of attention to actually integrate this all into one sort of musical idea. I will play for you what I think of this piece, but obviously it's almost like a cadenza within the piece. So any suggestion of yourself or anything you would like to do with it is great. It doesn't have to sound the same at all. So this is just my interpretation. I'm very interested in what I hear back when you send in your own version. There is another excerpt, which actually is a fantastic excerpt for the bassoon. It's by good old Tchaikovsky, who has written the most stunning melodies anyway. And we are very lucky in the symphonies as bassoon players to play actually the really, really beautiful tunes. The second movement of the Fourth Symphony starts off with the oboe solo, and it's more or less the same as the excerpt you see here, the excerpt we ask you to play. The oboe plays a slightly longer phrase, and I think of the bassoon solo as a sort of a memory of this oboe solo. It says pianissimo cantabile, and I think it should be very, very simple, simply played, up to the espressivo, where you actually can give a little bit more, and then come back to let the piece just sort of gradually, slowly get calmer and calmer until it ends. The very important thing about this solo is that you play very, very good legato, so all the notes connect very, very beautifully. This is quite hard in the key it's written in, so again, as in the Mozart and in most pieces you play, you want to play just little chunks, so you get really to the point where you make perfect legato, as perfect as you can do it, obviously. But it's always worth just make the legato first between two notes until you're really satisfied. So. One way to help your legato is to move your fingers in a very gentle way. So don't put them down as hammers, little hammers, which might be really helpful for a very fast technique. For these sort of long legato phrases, you put them down as gently as you can. So it's really like stroking rather than hitting. I'll play the excerpt for you now. This is the way I think about this piece, and sometimes people play it more espressivo, but I quite like the tranquility and the simplicity of this solo. But again, every person is different, and if you have a very different opinion about it or interpretation, you're very welcome to play it in the way you would like to play it. One of the things about doing an audition is it's very, very clear for any panel that listens to your audition whether you know the context of the music, because even if it are solos, there's always music going on behind it, underneath it, around it, on top of it. And it's very, very obvious when a candidate plays his piece, whether he's actually aware of this whole context. So I really would encourage you to listen lots to the music you have to record in the context, preferably in live concerts. But obviously there's lots of recordings circulating on all kind of media, on CDs, on the internet. And it's a very good idea to really, really listen very carefully and also form your own opinion based on various interpretations that you could listen to. So I wish you all the best for your uploads and hopefully see you somewhere around.